So I'm going to be doing a tier list on how NFL team seasons went. I'll be doing some tier lists. I'm going to be doing some NFL quizzes, as long as team in review. That'll be going out. The first one will be coming out soon. Let's get into this tier making, whatever it's called. So first one, Seahawks. I think I'm going to put them in D. They went 7-10, so I mean, it's not the worst, but with the team they had, I definitely thought that they were going to be a playoff team or close to a playoff team at the beginning of the season, so I definitely think that their season was a D. Colts, I would put them at a C. They're definitely a high C. I definitely think they should have made the playoffs instead of the Steelers. But they did lose to the Jaguars. So I'll give them a C. Steelers, they're definitely on the lower end of a C. Should not have made the playoffs. Made the playoffs by pretty much half a game. That tie with the Lions actually ended up helping them. The Falcons, I'll give them a D. They were probably below average, I think. Didn't really have a really good season. 49ers, I give them a B. They made it all the way to the NFC Championship. I do think Debo carried them though, so that's just my opinion. New York Jets, F. Don't want to say much about it. Just a horrible season. Bills, between an A or B. I think I gotta give them an A. They made it pretty far. You know what? No, I gotta put them at a B. They made it pretty far. Lost to the Chiefs. So they're definitely probably number one at the B spot. Cardinals, C. I think so many people thought they were going to be such a good team, but then they blew it. They were the Steelers from last year. I really wanted them to do well, though. Eagles, between C or D, I think I'll give them a C just because they made the playoffs. They were another team that shouldn't have been there, but everything fell in their place. I mean, they did win some games, but everything pretty much fell in their place as well to make the playoffs. Saints, they had a pretty quiet year. Didn't hear much about them. I think I definitely give the Saints a high D. You know what? No, I'll give them a C. Because they almost made the playoffs, but then the 49ers beat the Rams in OT to win and make it in. Patriots, I'll give them a low B. They made the playoffs. Problem is, they made it nowhere. They got blown out by the Bills in the first round. Chargers, high C for them. They played a decent season. Could have been better, but ended up not making the playoffs. Because what I believe is they called a timeout, and that's what ended the whole thing, and that's why the Raiders kicked the game winner. Bengals, I have been a Bengals bandwagon, but I do think their season is an A. They made all the way to the Super Bowl after going 4-11. Their team was really good except their O-line, and so I'll give them a low A. Bears, a D season. Definitely about what I personally expected them to have going into the season. Didn't make the playoffs. They were pretty far from the playoffs at 6-11. Not a good season. Cowboys, I'll give them a B. They had a good season, but they ran the ball down the middle with 13 seconds left or however much time there was. That was horrible play calling. Dolphins, I think I want to give them a C. They were so close to making the playoffs. They started, I think it was 0-7 or whatever, and then went, I think, they went 9-8 and just missed out on the playoffs. Rams, A. They won the Super Bowl. Now they did have a super team, but they did win the Super Bowl, so I'll give them an A. Raiders, I'll give them a C. Had a pretty good season, made it to the playoffs. Did lose to the Bengals in the first round, but still a good season by them. Browns, this one could be controversial. I think I'll give them a D. They're between a C and a D. I'm going to put them in the D for now. At 8-9, I know that's stupid, but I think they just didn't have a good season. Giants, F. Horrible season. Nothing more to talk about. Broncos, 7-10. I'll give them a D. Didn't really seem that good of a season for them. Next up, we got the Bucks. I'll give them a high B. Made it to the divisional round. Lost to the Rams. I think they had a good season overall, but I think they are definitely a high B. Lions, I'm going to give them a D. Now, the reason why is because 2 out of their 3 wins were teams that made the playoffs. They beat the Cardinals and they beat the Packers. Now, I know the Packers were playing most of their backups, and they also beat the Vikings, who almost made the playoffs. Jaguars, F. That's not a good season by them. Washington, I'll give them a D. You know what? No, I'll give them a D. I don't think they really did that well. High D, though, definitely. Vikings, I'll give them a C. They were right around the playoff hunt the whole year. They lost to the Rams, and then they had to win out, and they couldn't do that. Chiefs, I'll give them an A season. They had a good season all the way up till the second half of the NFC or the AFC Championship before they blew it and lost. Ravens, I want to give them a B, but I'll give them a C. I want to give them a B because I personally think that they would have made the playoffs and maybe had a deep playoff run if their whole team wasn't hurt the whole year. In D and F, low D for sure. I thought they were going to end up being really good, but they were not. Titans, between A and B, I'll give them a B. Had a good chance to go far, lost to the Bengals. Mike Vrabel did win Coach of the Year, and they were the number 1 seed. Texans, F, not really much to say. Just didn't have a good season. Packers, I will give them an A. They had a good season. Sadly, their season ended with special teams. Just their special teams didn't play well, and it just ended up costing them the game. But overall, Packers had a really good season. I thought they were going to have a shot at the Super Bowl. Thank you for watching my tier list. See ya.